What's up, everyone, and welcome to Metalcore Nerds. I am Sean Mott, your host, and for the last time for the WandaVision after shows, I have my partner in crime, Tyler Small. What's up, man?
It's been a ride, man. You know, and
It's been a ride, dude.
It's been an emotional roller coaster, and
Yeah,
I just haven't had a new best buddy since never. And
now we're here, man.
Yeah, we're in a. I feel like we just I feel like I'm at that point right now, where when I left the after credit scene after like the Edward Norton Hulk, when it was like I'm putting together a team, and I was like, here we go. We just they just opened up this whole rabbit hole of like time to like. I really feel like the new phase just launched.
Honestly, you gave me a really good idea. So all the people I bring together to be the host for these after shows, when like Doctor Strange comes out or something, I can have like everyone on it, and it'll be like an Avenger after show for a crazy event movie or something.
Dude, I would love to do that.
That'd be sick. That'd be fun. I think I'm gonna do that.
And we can all just be like, we can make it like an Avengers podcast.
Yeah.
We can make a cool graphic with like all of us. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I'll do a really like corny done Photoshop job where it's just like our head plastered over the body.
Love it.
That's just funnier to me.
Yeah, I love it. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So if you are new to Metalcore Nerds, it is a podcast. I am a booking agent and a graphic designer, and I love pop culture. And I bring someone in from the heavy music sphere, whether they're in a band or a manager or a booking agent or whatever. And we talk about something nerdy, whether it's metalcore or most of the time it's pop culture. And we've been doing this WandaVision after show every week after every episode, and it's been very awesome. So if you're new to the podcast, if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment, let us know your theories, what you thought of the show, anything like that. And if you're on audio, if you're on Spotify, just hit that follow button. If you're on Apple Podcasts, hit the subscribe, leave a review. That stuff is what helps this thing grow. And if you want to talk all nerd news, we have a secret Facebook group. It's just Metalcore Nerds Facebook group. You can search it and find it. And we pretty much talk about all pop culture news all the time and a ton of funny pop culture memes. And there's Scarlet Witch. What's up?
I love her. every time I it's so funny because it's on my desk and I was looking at it, I was like, God, I'm just glad that like I live with my girlfriend, because I would just totally feel like grandma's boy with Laura Croft right now. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just fucking with you. Elizabeth Olsen though is like my favorite ever. And then like the fact when she got cast as Scarlet Witch, dude, I was like already such a big fan of hers, and then like she cast as one of my favorite characters. You know what I mean? It was just like,
yeah.
And then she's just killed it. And then the payoff of finally seeing her in the fucking outfit, I was just like, 12-year-old me was just like, oh my God. Like I was just losing it, dude.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit non-spoiler stuff. So I know a lot of people on the internet may have said they were underwhelmed by the finale or they didn't get what they want. And a lot of people are addressing this. I just feel like this podcast should address it as well. So obviously we did a show making theories for 2 months. Everyone on the internet was making theories. I was talking to like a group of 10 people about their theories this whole time. All right. Obviously crazy theories like Magneto could show up, Professor X could show up, Reed Richards is going to show up, and obviously that did not happen. So,
yeah, I feel like none of our theories were right. Like almost none of them.
They were in a way,
and some obviously weren't. But I mean, that's the fun of theorizing. Like, I don't care that none of them came true. Like, I'm here to watch the show. I'm not a Marvel creator. You know, I'm a fan, but I love talking about it. So theorizing is fun. I'm not going to get mad my theories prove wrong. If some stuff ends up proving right, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I guessed it and it came right. But the whole thing of like expectation, people shouldn't be, if you don't like the show, that's fine. You know, if it's just not your thing, the sitcom thing was weird, you don't really care about these characters, this didn't hook you, whatever, that's fine. But if you're like, man, Magneto didn't show up and Elizabeth Olsen said there was a huge cameo, where was the cameo? And it's like that article, I don't know if I've said it on this podcast, but I told a couple of my friends that were going crazy about the cameo, and I was like, the interviewer baited her and she didn't even really answer the question. She just said there's a casting she was really excited about, which could have been anything. That could have been Evan Peters. Like she wasn't saying like, yeah, there's a crazy fucking cameo happening, and then the internet spun it. Even that article, the headline spun it to make it a clickbaity article, and then it just got blown out of proportion. Just like the aerospace engineer. I mean, that might get paid off down the road someday. We don't know, but I mean,
I think so.
Marvel might pay it off now just because it got so crazy. Because there was an interview with the director that came out this week on comicbook.com, and he was just like, yeah, there's a bunch of things that blew up that I never thought would go crazy, like the aerospace engineer and stuff like that, pretty much confirming that the aerospace engineer would not be a big reveal or anything like that.
I guess you were right about the Paul Bettany thing, and like I was really hoping you'd be wrong about that. Like I'll be honest, like, and this is from someone who obviously diehard fan, loves the show. I felt like the journey was better than the destination in a lot of ways, but like I got like the main things I wanted out of the ending, which were like basically branches into like, well, we can talk more later, but like I got pretty much like a lot of things I wanted did happen. I just felt like the way they did it felt a little bit like it just kind of like, I don't want to say like this is like not a good comparison because it was way better, but it was almost kind of like the end of Game of Thrones, where it felt like it wrapped up a little too fast and too smoothly in some ways for me. And I didn't, and I was just waiting for this giant shocker moment that never came, I guess, was really what it was.
Yeah, and I think that leads into the expectation of something crazy happening, because I thought about this like really hard, because I watched it and I loved it, and I didn't even really think cameo. At the end of the day, this is a Wanda and Vision story. That's what this is. That's what it entirely ended up being. Obviously, other stuff branched off it and led to other things, which we'll talk about later as well. But like, think about it this way: if Iron Man came out in 2008 and people were mad that like Thanos wasn't in it or something, that would be the same thing. Like if Mephisto showed up at the end for some reason, or Magneto showed up at the end, it would take the weight of the whole journey of the show.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's all about, this is the origin of the Scarlet Witch. This is the origin of Wanda finally facing all of the shit she's gone through and moving forward with it. So if you have that, and then this crazy cameo comes in the end, it's just gonna take the wind out of all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, it's my Iron Man thing. Like, this is the beginning of a saga and a phase. This is step one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it can't just come out guns blazing. And Coy Jandrew posted this awesome video on Twitter saying, I loved how this ended, because if everything is an Avengers level movie, then Avengers level movies won't have the impact they're supposed to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is a building block for the next 10 years. So it can't be this like crazy whatever is happening. And we'll talk about the end credit scene. The end credit scene, it's very ambiguous, but it's definitely leads down a path of
end credit scenes, plural.
Yes. Yeah. The one I'm talking about is the one where it's more like you're like, oh, okay, shit's about to go the fuck down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was all I really say. Just the expectations thing. I get it, because especially when we're doing this show and we're talking about all this crazy shit that could happen, and it's really just us thinking of stuff that you know, it could have possibly happened.
Could have happened, yeah.
We'll talk about it as we go along. There's a few things that, if they're not addressed in future things, I would be a little bummed about. But overall, I loved the series. I thought it was amazing. It, like, the acting in it was top tier, especially for Marvel. Like the writing of like the dialogue was unbelievable.
Well, it was like the first Marvel like drama suspense show. Like, it was not an action show until the last episode.
Yeah, it's I kind of compare it to, it's like the TV version of Endgame, because like the beginning of Endgame is very, you know, like exposition and dialogue and you know, stuff like that, setting up the big crazy ending at the fight. Like, obviously the fight scene is insanely long and everything, and there's some action in the middle and stuff like that, but the beginning of that movie is like all exposition and dialogue. Like, some people even call that slow, which is mind-boggling.
Well, it's funny too, because like people just like, and then people complain when it's all explosions and CGI fight scenes. So it's like, what do you want?
It's fandom. They'll complain that they don't have it, and then when they get it, they'll complain that it's not the other thing. It's exactly what it is. It's like, it happened in Star Wars. Hey, we want something different. Last Jedi comes out. What the fuck? We want what's like everything else. You know, like Mulan came out. Every live action remake of a Disney movie is the same as the animated version. Mulan comes out. Why isn't it like the animated version? And it's like, what do you people want, man? Like, just watch it and enjoy it. Like,
it kind of makes me think about just how I was about to say Star Wars, because it was like, it's kind of like how there's like all these fans that like think that it's, I still see those headliners with like, oh, they're deleting the last trilogy, they're erasing it. I'm like, bro, that's not gonna happen. Like, just stop.
No.
Like,
Force Awakens is in the top 10 of highest grossing movies of all time.
Yeah, they literally confirmed that The Mandalorian is setting up The Force Awakens in the First Order. Like, what are you talking about? They're retconning the trilogy. They're like, you're so like, just, if people will just say what they want to happen and then just spread it as like a headline, it's like, it's not happening.
Yeah, it's insane, man. So it's, you know, it's whatever. Like I said, people are obviously open to their opinions and everything like that. I just feel like, I hope people kind of rein it back with stuff like this. And you can theorize, obviously. Like I am guilty of theorizing 1,000%. But more of just accepting what's coming and not being mad if your crazy fucking theory doesn't come right. You know what I mean? It's just like,
well, now you got your action show next in a week, so it's like, well, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, we get the awesome making of WandaVision, which I'm guessing is going to be really, really cool.
I'm hyped for that.
Yeah, it should be very cool. So I guess final warning, spoiler warning, we're about to break down the whole episode and get into everything. So last chance if you haven't seen the episode, but I mean, this has been like the most popular thing in the world right now, so I'm sure you've seen it. So it picks up right where the last episode left off. Agatha has the kids yanked up. She's pretty much saying that she wants Wanda's power. She even sucks part of Wanda's power and her arm goes black, which I was like, fuck, this is bad. And she pretty much just says, hey, give me all your power and I will make sure you can live in this made up world forever with your family and never have to worry about anything. And Wanda doesn't like that and hits her with a fucking car.
Yeah, and then there's the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, the Wizard of Oz boots, which is funny because later on we see Oz the Great and Powerful on the marquee, which is directed by Sam Raimi.
Oh, that's actually really funny.
Yeah. So I mean that's pretty much the beginning, and then White Vision shows up and they have an interaction, kind of like, is this really you? And then Vision says Wanda, just like he did in when you saw the whole hex coming together in the last episode. Then he puts her hand in her head and then starts, I was like, he's gonna fucking choke her, and then just starts squishing her head. That noise.
Yeah, the cracking noise.
I was like, oh no.
Yeah, that was brutal.
And I love how he says, and you were supposed to be powerful. And then Hex Vision comes in and saves the day. And then the scene of him walking from the explosion is very T2 Judgment Day, like the T1000 walking from the flames. Like, I love the homages the show has done to like old films and stuff.
That had just started. There's probably a YouTube like video where someone put that music over that scene or something.
I would bet money that is probably valid.
I definitely, I will say I was very, I mean, it was kind of short, but I was very satisfied with the Vision versus Vision fight. I like how they really, I feel like, and I say this every podcast, I feel like Vision got like, and like I said, what I fucking tell you earlier in the podcast, I told you Vision was walking away from this, but like but I was like, there was some point, I was
definitely wrong.
Yeah,
definitely
but
wrong.
I was like, I felt like Vision kind of has been snubbed, and we really haven't gotten to see enough of Vision being how awesome Vision is, and like getting to see the kind of like Superman versus Zod fight with them, like really, because he kind of is their Superman in a way, you know what I mean? So getting, you know, it's like their little, his laser is like the heat vision, you know, it's the same, you know, so getting to see them just like having a DBZ like craters in the ground fight was just really fun for me. I really enjoyed that. And then I really like that one part when fucking like the faux Vision or real Vision, I guess, grabs him like by the head and like cranes his head back and goes to like, and then he just, of course, like, I like how the witty use of his like, I'm trying to think. Phasing.
The phasing.
Yeah, the phase fighting was pretty cool. Yeah, it was
the crazy thing is that, which was really cool, and it was almost like a full Age of Ultron full circle moment, is because the White Vision was learning from the Hex Vision as they were fighting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they kept like phasing the same way they were phasing, because that was like the first, like he grabbed them in like hex vision phases, and then they kept just doing the thing. It was crazy when they were doing the things, they were punching into each other and we get stuck, like phasing into each other and stuff. I thought it was super cool.
I kind of was hoping that they were going to say something about like the energy source, because I'm like, my brain is like, it has to be an arc reactor, because I mean it's powerful enough that he's like shooting this crazy ass.
It's
like
something, yeah.
What else is more power? What other energy thing is powerful enough to make lasers that strong? You know what I mean? I was kind of hoping that, but I feel like that's definitely an arc reactor. Not that that's important.
It's definitely a nod. You know what I mean? Like it definitely looks like it, and it's blue. You know,
I mean, it is Stark Tech technically.
It's
descendant of Stark Tech. Yeah. So, but
it's something. I mean, they kind of explain that it's powered. I mean, maybe like the like skeleton of it is like an arc reactor, because it's obviously powered by Wanda's magic. They took Wanda's magic and transferred it,
that's
true, and made it to whatever it is. But I mean, I guess the technology could be, because I mean, at this point, he made the arc reactor like 15 years ago or something. So it definitely could be something remnant of that. That's definitely possible. And then we go back to outside of the hex, and it's Hayward and Jimmy Woo talking. And Hayward pretty much reveals that, I stole Vision's body and I did this behind everyone's back. But with this, I'll make it seem like Vision was in the hex and I saved him, and Wanda dies and I'll be the hero.
I will say that one part where, like, Wu grabs the phone and he gets out of the handcuffs. Like, my whole brain that whole time was like, I would have just hit record on the phone when Hayward was just making his little speech.
That's what I thought he was doing.
That's what I thought he was doing too. I was like, and then I think they were just setting it up for, like, he was just staring him in the eye doing another Ant-Man magic trick.
Yeah, I think maybe he was just grabbing the phone. Now that we're talking about it out loud, like he just grabbed the phone so he had it, and then when he broke out of the handcuffs, he could make the call. Because I'm guessing they took his phone from him or whatever. So that must have been why he took it. Because I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, is he recording him? Because he's like,
monologuing.
Typical evil guy monologue revealing his whole evil plan.
Yeah, and I was they set it up perfect for that, and then I was like, oh, they didn't do that. I was like, but I guess that was this whole show, was setting things up for things that didn't happen that we thought were going to happen. So.
Yeah, I mean, he did get arrested, so I mean, spoiler for we didn't get there, but I mean, he did get his due. I do love that when he broke out of the handcuffs, I'm guessing he learned that from Scott Lang as well. Gonna guess, but he says flourish, just like how Vision did in the magic show.
Flourish.
Also, I was watching New Rockstars breakdown, and they pointed this out. I didn't really notice it until they pointed it out, but the shot where there was like the fight in the street, and then the camera shot, it's like a one shot, pans back into Ralph's like attic room. So it like goes from the street right into the room. And I was like, wow, that is really fucking cool. Yeah. I didn't even really like pick up on it because it's just like so smooth. But then we see
off guard.
Yeah, it was just really cool, like the transition of it into it. So Monica's in the room. There's like a cool speed scene where he just like bing, and she like flies back. I thought that was really cool. But then he ends up finding out that it wasn't Agatha's house; it was his house. Finds a water bill, finds a headshot of him being an actor, and you find out his name is Ralph Boner.
Or that's his stage name.
It could be his stage name. So I don't think the Evan Peters thing is done.
Yeah, me neither.
If it is done, and it was just a super meta casting to be funny, I feel like that's a pretty shitty move on Marvel, because it's like Multiverse is obviously coming. Multiverse has been said in the MCU. We get Evan Peters faking to be Wanda's brother, who was Quicksilver, and he was Quicksilver, and then he's just a guy named Ralph Boner. Like,
they still didn't really see. And this, I feel like it somehow is going to tie back to the fact that, like, they never really explained. We talked about this before, like they did kind of in the Wakanda Files, whatever, but they never really explained how Quicksilver got his powers, what the Mind Stone did, exactly. And they also didn't really explain, like, okay, she was controlling him, but did she just give him super speed? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like that was so vague.
I don't think so, and that's why I think it's not done.
I think that she really did pull that Quicksilver from another dimension. Like, I
definitely could have. Yeah, and then just mind control them with the necklace, which is insanely possible. So I think that will get revisited. And the director, the same interview with comicbook.com, the director Matt Shackman did kind of hint that he might come back, because he's like, we'll talk about that another Monday, like a different Monday or something like that. Like not saying like next Monday, but like maybe further down the road.
And then like I feel like there's also kind of coincidence that like a couple days later, Marvel announces the mutants.
They didn't announce that as a rumor.
Oh, that's a rumor? I thought that was an official announcement. I only saw one post. I saw one post vaguely, so
it's a rumor that there could be a movie coming out called The Mutants that's in development, but there's been no
my bad
official announcement.
Dude, I get so
even the logo is the New Mutants logo. They just took new off it. Like that would not be the logo.
I thought it was a really cool logo. I thought that would be cool if they did that.
It's the New Mutants logo. They just took off new and just made it The Mutants.
Well, it's like the comic New Mutants logo, though, not the movie one. Was all like horror. It tricked. I just don't like being tricked.
Let's not talk about that movie.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. It's not real. It's not real. I will say that I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a showdown with Monica and Quicksilver. Like they could have done I feel like they could have had sort of a cool little fight with them. I felt like that was a little bit of a missed opportunity. That was like one of my small thoughts, but really getting to see her maybe flex one of her powers a little more rather than just flipping him over. Like, I don't know. I was a little underwhelmed by that little conclusion of his character, because they kind of just forget about him. Like, and then I would have liked something else a little. I don't know, a little bit different. I'm being honest though.
I do think there's definitely more, because I don't think Agatha could have given him super speed.
That's my thought. So
that's why I think if this is not done, it'll come back and we'll see it come to fruition later, hopefully. We go back out to the town square. Agatha reveals that the book is the Darkhold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Good guess from me and everyone else on the internet.
Yeah, that was probably like one of the coolest things. That was definitely one of the moments, like the Leo moments.
I was like, yes, they confirmed it. Yes. And she reveals that there's a whole chapter in the Darkhold about the Scarlet Witch, how she's not from a coven, she's forged. She doesn't need to, she doesn't need to be taught magic. It's a natural thing to her, and the prophecy is for her to end the world. So this is what is so cool to me, and this is why this episode was such a big deal, that they're pretty much doing the Dark Phoenix story with Wanda.
Yeah. In
their own way. They're going, hey, Fox, remember those Dark Phoenix movies you made that were absolutely terrible and not good at all because you didn't build to them? You're just like, yeah, Dark Phoenix story, let's go, with no build. Hey, we're going to show you how to do it the right way. And here we are. And the whole end of the world could be her snapping the multiverse, and you know what I mean? Like something with that. Who knows? And it could be like a Dark Phoenix thing where she is actually going to bring the end of this world. That is left to be seen. But I thought she could remake the world.
Remake the world.
Yeah, like a House of M thing could still happen. It's definitely possible.
I will say, I mean, we can get more to like that speculation once we get to the end of the credit scene and stuff. But when she was like, "Oh, there's a whole chapter on you," it makes me wonder what they're doing with the Darkhold as far as how the comic works, because the Darkhold can have any chapter about fucking anything. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like there's a designated literature to it all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because isn't that how it works? Where it's like it kind of.
I think it's going to be a very big deal. Like, I think it's going to deal with Blade. It'll deal with Ghost Rider if Ghost Rider comes in. It could deal with Moon Knight. Like, it could be. I think this is going to be a very big part of the future.
This next phase is going to be magical. Let's just put it that way.
Magical and cosmic.
Yeah, it's going to be super. Yeah. They're really going. I'm really hyped for all of the there's like the spooky horror, it's like just like supernatural stuff that they can do. It's like a whole subgenre.
It brought a ton of like horror vibes into it, which was sick. I loved it. I loved all like the little horror scenes that have been brought into this series.
Yep.
Because that's obviously very different for Marvel. entirely. Like they haven't really done much of
Well,
that.
yeah, like we've seen spies, we've seen Star Wars, space Guardians, and we've gotten to do a little bit of wizards. We got, and like now it's like, oh sweet, we're gonna get fucking vampires and spells and like fucking all sorts of cool shit. Like I really hope Ghost Rider, like Ghost Rider.
There was a Gabriel Luna, who played Ghost Rider in Agents of Shield, tweeted, sorry guys, I guess hiding the Darkhold under my bed was a bad hiding place, and put hashtag Darkhold, hashtag WandaVision. I thought that was really funny.
I really hope that they just bring him back as Robbie Reyes, and then they cast someone to play Johnny Blaze. Because
I just don't know if they'll do two at once, because he was supposed to get a Hulu show, which I was stoked about, because I thought he was awesome in Agents of Shield. I was like, great. Yes, a whole show with him. Fuck yeah!
I would imagine they'll probably do whatever they, the same thing they had to switch gears for Blade. They'll probably do with Ghost Rider and him as well in this phase, because they fit into everything they're doing so well with this next. Yeah. I'm sure. Something. And Mephisto will get introduced and tied back to all this later, but he'll probably be introduced as the Ghost Rider villain. You know what I mean? Or something.
Yeah,
or
I definitely think Mephisto is still coming, and this was like a setup for Mephisto. Because, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, if Mephisto just showed up at the end, it would have been so weird. Like, Wanda just defeats Mephisto in 2 seconds. Like, that would have sucked. You know what I mean? Like, how could you bring Mephisto in and then have him? Like, this happened in Titans. So the whole lead up to season 1 was Trigon. He gets left in a cliffhanger. It comes back in season 2. Trigon comes and they trap him in 10 minutes. That sucks. That's like such a build up to nothing. And that would have been the same thing. Oh my God, this whole season was Mephisto. We brought Mephisto, but hey, I trapped you. Like, what?
Well, I was more so expecting like, not so much like Doctor Strange or Mephisto to come and be like a part of the fight scene or something, but I was expecting more of an end credit scene of like someone like maybe doing something where you're like, oh shit, like, Mystique with the eyes, something subtle where you're like, oh shit, that was Mephisto, but you don't really, it's like when you see Thanos' hand and his smile at the end of the Avengers, you know what I mean? It's like a subtle thing for later.
I'll talk about later about Mephisto. That could be a tie-in still. So it's speculation, but it could very well be true. Agatha then starts waking up the whole town. Dottie wakes up, says her name is Sarah, and in the credits, her name is Sarah Proctor, which is actually a name from the actual Salem witch trials. Like, it dates back to like a person who was involved in the Salem witch trials named Sarah Proctor. I'm sure that is just a very cool nod and will not add up to anything. But pretty much the whole town is like very upset, saying like, hey, when we slept, we saw your nightmares. Your grief is poisoning us. Like, pretty much she was like torturing these people for a week straight, or at least a week. It seems like it was at least a week, the whole stretch of the show. And it's like, that sucks. Like, obviously Wanda didn't exactly mean to do this to people, but it's still not good.
Yeah. I mean, it's she enslaved them. Like, it's like,
she made them her fucking mind slaves,
and then and then psychologically waterboarded them like 24 hours a day,
which is crazy. And like, their kids were like locked up in some other room, like asleep. She was like begging. She's like, "Can I please just see my kid?" And I was like, "What the fuck?"
It's obviously like, and I'm hoping they don't kill off Wanda, but when the end of all this, but I feel like it's definitely a setup for like how terrible she can be, and she's not even trying. It's like, so.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. So she feels obviously terrible, so she starts bringing down the hex. That obviously she finally is realizing that she brings down the hex. She loses the twins. She loses Vision because the spell that brought them to here is connected to the spell of the hex. So if that spell gets broken, they go with it. So as the hex is opening, SWORD makes their way in, and then she's like, no, I can't get rid of them. And there's a crazy scene with Vision and the twins fading away. Again, it's like the puzzle piece nod to the House of M cover. That's amazing. I love how they keep bringing back that imagery. It's super cool. And then SWORD kind of surrounds them. and they have an awesome Incredibles like family pose together.
Yeah.
And I love how they say, I know we haven't prepared you this, but you were born for this. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was. I love the little little super family, and then like getting to see the kids kind of flex their shit, even though it was very brief, was pretty fun. I like the nod to Quicksilver where he takes the hat.
The only thing I wish they did is they did like Fox style slow mo Quicksilver moment with Tommy. That would have been really cool. But I mean, if they're
it's coming,
they're obviously coming back. We're gonna get the Young Avengers. We're gonna get the twins back. So that's fine. We're gonna get it. You know, that's like it's like what I've talked about before. People were like, "Oh man, I wish we've seen more of Vision and Wanda before this." And it's like obviously we're getting more of it. And the same thing with like, "Oh, I wish we got more of Sam and Bucky." Oh, we're getting 6 hours of it. You know, it's like I hate saying like because we are getting it eventually. We just have to be patient about it. You know, it's like it's the same thing. Like I wish we got more Captain America. It's like we got 10 years of them. Like
yeah,
we got a lot. We got a lot of Captain America.
I can already see like I'm already in my head too, seeing just like that like whoever they cast as Wiccan and Speed like are gonna be some like crazy actors where like it's just like Wiccan. I just feel like Wiccan's gonna end up being a new massive favorite. He's just such a cool character already in the comics. And they'll get someone like Timothy Clement to play him or some shit like that. Chalamet, like or some crazy like that. He's a little old, maybe a little old for it, but like someone like that. And then like it's just, I feel like it's like
maybe it's not because I mean, dude, look at the Young Avenger lineup now. Catherine Newton is Stature, which they changed the actress from it from Endgame, but she's like becoming a huge household name at this point. Haley Stanfield is fucking Kate Bishop. Like,
yeah,
it's insane. I don't think they've cast American Chavez yet. I know she's supposed to be in Doctor Strange 2, so they maybe have cast it, but I don't think they've announced anything.
I wonder how they'll bring Hulkling into it. Is that you think has anything to do with She-Hulk, or there'll be somewhere else?
There's been a rumor that he'll show up in like Secret Invasion, I think.
I honestly can't remember Hulkling's origin.
I really don't know, to be honest.
Because I know he doesn't actually have anything to do with Hulk. I think they just call him Hulkling.
Yeah, it's like a weird thing.
He can transform and shit.
I think so, but it's Jennifer Walters is supposed to be too. She's supposed to be able to go back and forth between, but she usually likes staying in the Hulk form. Okay. She like basically becomes Smart Hulk before a Smart Hulk does. It's like
okay.
She like figures that out before like almost off the bat, pretty much.
Gotcha.
And there's rumors that Patriot might show up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, who's also a Young Avenger.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Obviously, Iron Lad is coming if Kang's coming. So, but I don't know if they're gonna like if Jonathan Major is gonna play a younger version of himself, or they're gonna cast someone that looks like Jonathan Major to be Iron Lad. Because
I almost wonder if Iron Lad's somehow gonna show up through Armor Wars or something with like Riri. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have no idea. Just the thought of Kang showing up in Ant-Man and the Wasp, it doesn't mean he's not gonna show up beforehand. You know what I mean? Like he definitely could. So, or if Iron Lad shows up, that's just another thing. You know, it's like they're the same fucking person. So it's like, which a lot of people don't know. Which I kind of hope a lot of people don't know because that surprise is gonna be super cool when they do that someday. If they do it the same way, but I imagine they would because it's a really cool storyline.
Well, it's like everyone. The snap fooled people. You know, surprised people. You know, we all knew that was coming somehow. Just not how it did.
I was wondering because like the Infinity Gauntlet comic starts with the snap.
Yeah, they kind of flip the script.
So like by me watching Endgame, I was like, okay, this is nothing really like the comic at all, which is that's what the MCU does.
They have to keep they have to like pay homage to the comics without. I don't think that sentence made sense. Without, but still surprise the comic nerds.
Yes.
Like they got to surprise the people who think they can predict everything.
And they did a bunch of the cool like Infinity Stone shots where Thanos uses it on everyone are like straight from the comics. Like when he turns people to ribbon and blocks and the cubes, that's straight from the comics. When Spider-Man shoots them in the face, that's like a straight thing from the comics when they fight them and stuff like that. So they do a really good job of paying homage to the comics while still creating new stuff.
And like I said, I think in one of our earlier podcasts, it was like they took a lot from the Infinity, not Infinity, like not to be confused,
Oh yeah,
Infinity,
the Hickman run, yeah.
the Infinity arc, yeah, like the whole Wakanda fight with like Call and on Wakanda, and Black Panther punches him in the face. Like that's
Yeah.
I think that happened in the movie.
Yeah,
Like they there was and like they kind of just mashed together kind of like what they did with their taking Scarlet Witch and kind of the Vision comic. They're taking pieces from what we love, and I feel like no one has a problem with Marvel doing that. So I'm hoping that people will. That's how I want to try to start looking at the new Star Wars stuff the same way, where they're now taking like Legends lore and making something
doing
new
the
out of
same
it.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to start seeing consistently going forward, is them just bringing that lore to life, but then adjusting it for film. Yeah, I guess, even though that's not how it should be, but that's how it is,
Yeah. Like, yeah, I think we talked about it before. It's like, I totally get why they made Legends non-canon, because they want to use that and make new stuff and fill it. Well, because if those were canon, they couldn't make these stories anymore, because those stories are basically told, or they would be like constantly retconning or having to like work around. It's like, why would you try to fill in these gaps in live action with chains on yourself? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like, they're trying not to forget it, but they're making new stuff with it, which I think is cool. Like, then you have two different stories. Like, you know what I mean? If you want to go read the Legend stuff, you easily can, and that's fine. And then you can watch a live action stuff like based on stuff from it. Like Mandalorian has been stuff from everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's connected to movies, connected to animated stuff, it's connected to comic stuff, it's connected to Legend stuff, video games, like crazy, like video games I've barely even heard of. Like, I had a Mandalorian episode with the dudes from Frail Body, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I knew about this because I played this game when I was a kid and stuff." And I was like,
"Yeah, Dark Forces."
I was like, "Whoa!" There was another one too. I think it was like Galaxies or something. And it was more of like, it was almost like a World of Warcrafty kind of like Star Wars game. And he said there was like the thing they did with the Crate Dragon is like an actual mission you do in the game. Like, you have to team up with a ton of people to take it down and shit. And like the thing they did was like what you do in the game. And he said when it was happening, he was like freaking out. He's like, I used to do this with all my friends. Like, this is crazy. And I was like, that's so cool. And like, he knows like the different kind of like blasters and weapons because he used to get them in the game. And I was like, this is wild. I was like, this is crazy.
We're going into Star Wars. All right.
Back to WandaVision. The Vision fight is still happening. They end up in the library, and they have a Vision elaboration, which I thought was great. They talk about the ship of Theseus, which is basically a thing where the ship keeps getting rebuilt with new boards. So at some point, when it's made of completely new boards from when it started with, is it the same ship? And they come to the conclusion that it's not the actual material that makes the ship. It's really the voyage, the soul, the journey of the ship that makes the ship, pretty much confirming that they are both Vision in a way. And he says, I do not have these memories. And he's like, you have the data. It just needs to get unlocked. And basically him coming to a self-realization, just like in Age of Ultron, that he is being made to be controlled to be a weapon. And he doesn't want to be that because he can be more than that. So Hex Vision unlocks White Vision's memories, and we see an awesome flashback from everything in the MCU. Yeah, everything that Wanda and Vision have been related to that I thought was really cool. And then his eyes turn more like human-like, and he just says, I'm Vision, and boom, we don't see him again. He's gone.
Yeah,
we'll see him eventually. But
and I don't know if you want to save this topic for later, but I do have like, I think that there's a, because it kind of ties back to the whole piece of the Mind Stone in me thing. Like, so I don't know if you want to talk about that now, but like, because like what he does, because obviously when he comes out of her, he's all yellow. Like, it's like he's made out of Mind Stone energy almost. So obviously it was like whatever it did when it imprinted on her, some of its power is in her. She does have Mind Stone power to some end because that's how she was able to give all these things consciousness, I think her ability to create life out of thin air and give it an actual living, growing brain and personality, like the children, and making the fake Vision that was in essence really Vision, was the same energy that gave Vision his personality in the first place. So I almost wonder if, like, when he touched it, because you see the yellow energy kind of go into it, I wonder if he literally did put Mind Stone, like his Mind Stone essence, into that body. You know what I mean?
It's definitely possible, because it does have that flash yellow and then it goes back blue,
and then it kind of like, but it almost looks like it like bleeds into him, you know. And then it is, and like we can talk more when we get to the end credit scene, but then it just makes me feel like, okay, so like Wanda literally has like the power to give things consciousness, has that Mind Stone power. So what are those implications? So it's like,
those are crazy implications. We go back to the town square. Wanda and Agatha are still fighting off. She does like vanish, just like how Agatha does early, and then she sneaks on number, gives her little wiggly woos. And
I liked by the way. So just a little quick. I was waiting to get to this part because I really liked, because I just rewatched Age of Ultron, and I always really liked that part where she like knocks Cap down the stairs and then she does the creepy like skippy backs through the door and the door slams shut, where it's like almost like horror, like, and you don't really
it's like The Ring.
You don't really see her do that ever again. So I like that it showed her creeping up behind her like that and then doing the thing. So it just was very much a throwback to like when she's fucking with all the Avengers. But I like how she did the creepy like stutter walk thing behind her. Like I like that a lot.
Yeah, super, super cool attention to detail there. And it brings back to Agatha, to her being at the stake with the Coven, and Wanda thinks she has control, but she really doesn't. Agatha flips it on her. The fucking zombie witches come up and like are pretty much like, you're the Scarlet Witch, you know, it was written, and like all this creepy ass shit. And she puts Wanda at the stake, and then the energy forms the red Scarlet Witch crown, like it did for like the crown her mom had when she was trying to get rid of Agatha in that flashback scene we saw last week. And they go back to the Hex real world, and pretty much, you know, Wanda's like, whatever, I'll give you my powers, like fix this and it'll give it to you. And she just starts just throwing crazy red magic balls at her, and we see some kind of like missing error in hitting like the side of the hex and everything. And I was kind of like, that's weird. And then, you know, it looks like, you know, like Wanda's going straight like zombie corpse, and Agatha looks like she has it, and then she goes to like unleash power on her, and it doesn't work, which is kind of a cool parallel callback to Endgame, when Thanos thinks he has it and he snaps, and it's just the clink because Tony stole all the stones. It was like a very similar kind of moment, which I thought was really cool. And then it reveals that Wanda cast runes to do a protection spell, just like Agatha did to her. She says, thanks for the lesson. And then she just goes.
And about that, by the way, I saw someone bitching. And this is where I feel like people don't pay attention enough, because someone was bitching about, how did she just suddenly know how to cast the runes and what runes would work and all this shit? And I'm like, well, like, A, she saw them, and then B, she fiddled with her mind, and we already know that once she goes into your mind, she can read your mind and know everything that you've seen and done. So it's just like someone, I don't know, like, but I was just like, because I thought about that for 1 second, and I was like, okay, like, so she just saw them on the walls and instantly knew how to use them. It's kind of a stretch, but then I was like, oh, well, she like did go into her brain, so she, for all we know, she literally just learned everything she knows now.
And like, then also, she did a probability hex when she was a kid and didn't know she was powerful. Like, that's her powers that she almost doesn't need to learn. She's like has a natural ability for it. But now that she's like, you know, getting into that, like, it's going to be even more dangerous. And then we see the full reveal of her in the Scarlet Witch costume, which I thought was fucking dope. Dude, so sick.
She looks so good. Like, and it looked so MCU, but still looked so comic book. Like, I really like how they, you know, in the beginning it felt like they were trying to keep it as grounded as they could, but as the movies have progressed and we've gone through the phases, they've gotten more and more comfortable with the comic attire. Like, you know, and like, it sucks that we had to wait till like the last movie to get to see Iron Man and Cap in like the scales and the gold arms. Like, you know, like Iron Man basically had his first suit in the last movie, like his final
It
nano.
was kind of like an homage to the OG one. Yeah.
Like that's why I love his last suit is my favorite, is because it had like the full gold arms, the gold legs, and then like Cap had the scales like on the suit, and then we're even seeing in Love and Thunder, Thor's got like the yellow and blue boots, like, and all the straps, like, and then we got Wanda in the full suit, like, and getting to like just see her next to Vision in the both of their in the suit, like, I felt like it was like the first time you get to really see that comic like in,
it was really cool.
so good.
Yeah, and during all that, Hayward just decides to shoot the twins because he is a fucking terrible person.
That was
I was like, okay, dude, you're just gonna shoot two not real kids? That's kind of fucked up.
Or real kids.
Yeah, they could be. You're right.
He's shooting kids.
Yes, it's fucked up. It's at the end of the day, it's fucked up. It's not cool. Monica saves them, which was a cool scene. Her eyes glow yellow, and they kind of like phase through her but stop. It was super cool. One gets past her, and as she looks as fast as it's going by, like pretty much saying that she has super speed too. And then Billy full fucking Matrix stops it. And I love that his magic is blue, just like Agatha's Coven. That's really, really cool. I don't know how that actually like ties in. Like, we've talked about how I went really deep into like the magic after rewatching Doctor Strange, how the magic all comes from some dimension. They haven't really explained where Doctor Strange's magic come from. And like how I said, Agatha's probably does come from the dark dimension. It is purple. That would make complete sense. It seems like her chaos magic is kind of like I kind of maybe theorized that it does come from like reality and like different multiverses. Like that's what her magic is driven from, is like the multiverse itself. It seems like
because I always wondered. I think in the first episode or two we did of this, I was talking about how when she did like the wipe of the room and everything went to color, it looked like the reality stone effect.
Yeah.
And then it's and this whole time I've been starting, because I know that like how they wrote the ether was somewhat retconned when it became the reality stone, because they kind of did it sort of weird, and I know part of it was just trying to keep consistency, and I know it wasn't really thought out, but it always kind of felt like, because she can bend, her power is she bends reality to her will.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it just makes me wonder if that is supposed to be.
I think so. Yeah,
I think they're kind of.
I think they're kind of tying that together. I mean, people have pretty much said that like she has almost the powers of all of the Infinity Stones, or you might see that she has powers of all the Infinity Stones, and we'll get a little bit some more of that in one of the after credit scenes if it ends up being that way. And then Hayward just says fuck it and gets back in his truck, and then we see Darcy come in with the funnel truck and just ram in the side, which is funny because some people could go, how could a funnel truck hit armored car? But if you remember, the funnel truck was an armored car, and you see it get turned back into an armored car.
Well, also they said that when it's changed, it still retains the properties of the original. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was an armored car that just looked like a funnel cake. So that's why it's able. And he's like,
it just looked like a funnel. You said funnel cake, and then my brain was
funnel truck.
My brain just like pictured just like a giant like armored car funnel cake, just like.
That would be funnier. And I love how Darcy says, "Have fun in prison" to Hayward.
And then she dips.
Yeah. I love how she. I think it hasn't been fully confirmed, but I'm pretty sure she's going to show up in Thor: Love and Thunder. So I think this is like a more of a reintroduction to her for her being in future movies, which is cool. I'm about that. I loved her character in this. It was very funny. She was a very good addition to the show. I'm glad they brought her back, which is that was.
It's like Ralph Boner. It's kind of like all of these side characters come back around.
True. It's like Jimmy Woo too. Yep. Then funnel we cake. Get back. Funnel cake armor truck, right?
Yep.
Wanda starts taking down the Hex, freeing the town from this terrible spell.
Yeah.
And pretty much Wanda traps Agatha in Westview. Changes, because some people were like, how could she cast the spell? If you remember, Agatha was under the spell of the Hex. So it's a separate spell from the Hex. She's obviously taking down the Hex and then pretty much traps her as the nosy neighbor in Westview. They do have a very weird line where she goes, "I'll see you around, Agnes," and she says, "Not if I see you first, hun." Like very, like she's almost still aware of what has happened.
Well, she's like crying and stuff too. You know what I mean? I feel like she's probably powerful enough where she can is like fighting with it nonstop, but can't get out of it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I totally forgot about this. When they were talking about the Darkhold, they do say that the Scarlet Witch has powers that exceeds the Sorcerer Supreme. I forgot to bring that up.
Yep.
Very important. Obviously, that's gonna. I mean, everyone's like, "Where's the Doctor Strange tie-in?" Well, it's like they fucking mentioned him by name, pretty much. So, then pretty much, Wanda goes back with her family. They go back to the house. They tuck in the kids. They say how proud they are of them. And then when they're leaving, Wanda says this really interesting line. Thank you for choosing me to be your mother. Which I have more to talk about this after the credit scene, but there's something more to these kids. Obviously, there's something more to these kids. They have powers. They can age up. There's definitely something more to them. I have more thoughts on that later. Then we go back downstairs. Vision and Wanda have their last moment together. This 1,000% made me cry. It was rough. rough. Very beautiful though. Very beautiful. They pretty much, he goes, what am I made of? And she says, you're the piece of the Mind Stone that lives in me. You're my sadness and my hope, but most of all, you're my love. And I was like, fuck, man.
It was brutal.
And then pretty much Vision saying, I know we said goodbye before, and then Wanda says, we'll say hello again. And
stands to reason.
Vision has a tear going down. The android is fucking crying, which is also a nod to Avengers 58 when he sheds a single tear. And they both hold their hands looking at, which is kind of, I think, a nod to Fight Club, the last scene of Fight Club, where Marla and the narrator are holding hands as like the building is exploding in front of them. At least I thought so. I thought that was like a parallel moment. This is one of my favorite movies, so
it's one of my favorite movies.
That was a nod to that moment. And then the hex goes away. She's holding Vision, and New Rockstar's brought this like really even more sad point is when the hex is going away. Her right hand is up, but she still has her wedding band obviously on her left hand. And as the hex goes away, you see her left hand up higher, like the wedding band was the last thing of the hex to go away. Like it pulled her hand up, like going away. And I was like, damn, that's sad.
I didn't catch that. And I just rewatched it too before we did this.
Yeah, I didn't either until they brought up, because they do a shot where it's like facing one way and her right hand's up, and then it's the other side and her other hand's up. So it's like kind of like a trick. Not like a trick, but like it's very hard to notice unless you're like frame by frame looking at it. And then she goes to town square, talks to Monica, like, hey, you don't hate me. And she's like, if I had the power you did, I would probably do the same thing and bring my mom back. Like they're on like level playing field. Like she understands that Wanda doesn't want to be the villain, whether or not she did something bad. She did not mean to be a villain, which again is going to lead into more things in the future. But it was a very cool goodbye, mutual respect with those two characters. Because a big part of the show was the origin of Monica, which was very cool and obviously very important to what's coming next.
And then they did I like how they kind of did the like, especially kind of tying into like where you see her in the end credit scene, like Wanda. I kind of like how she now she's sort of like Bruce Banner on the run. You know what I mean? She has to like dodge the cops because now she's kind of wanted. So she kind of like runs off, and then she's like out in this little cabin. I literally for a second thought it was the same cabin from where Edward Norton is like realizing he's meditating, where you see him at the end.
Some people thought the same too, but the environment is very different.
Yeah, but at first I was like, that was very much. It felt like I'm on the run from the police, and I'm gonna go hide out in the middle of nowhere in a cabin and practice my thing to control my thing that made everyone scared of me. It was very much. I felt like a nod to the Hulk. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I definitely get that. And then she kind of flies off and takes one last look at Westview and flies away, and that's how the show ends. But of course, it's Marvel. We got some after credits.
Yeah.
So the first one's back. Jimmy's kind of directing traffic, keeping things going, helping the town recuperate from what has just happened. Monica says, Jimmy, authority looks good on you. which I hope is going to bring us with Jimmy Woo leading the Agents of Atlas eventually, which would be very cool because that's his comic counterpart. So I hope that happens. That'd be awesome. More Jimmy Woo, the better for me. I love that character.
We like him.
Great. And then an agent comes over to Monica and says, "Hey, I need to speak to you in the theater." They go in the theater. It's revealed that she is a Skrull and saying, "Hey, he's heard, or I'm a friend of your mother's or whatever," and saying he's heard you're grounded. He wants to see you. And she says, "Where?" and just points up, which obviously is going to be a direct lead into the Peak, which we think is the Peak.
Yeah.
And where he was in the end credit scene of Spider-Man Far From Home. So it's going to space. It's obviously a direct setup for Captain Marvel 2, I would imagine.
Or Secret Invasion.
I think that might come before, but I don't know.
But it makes me wonder too if because maybe this is the setup for what Sword was supposed to be. You know?
Right. Like, I don't think Sword is over because I saw some people being like, "What a waste of Sword," and I was like, "This isn't the end of Sword." I was like, "This is the introduction of Sword."
Yeah, this is like gonna be. Now we're gonna start to see the comic book Sword. I think come out of all this. Yeah,
full space shield for sure.
Space shield.
I mean, that's basically what it is. It's space shield. You know what I mean?
But it's a sword.
Yeah.
I'm just here to like, but next end credit scene.
Yes, like you said, we see Wanda in a cabin, a very cool scene. It's all just like a rush in from the mountains right into the cabin. It's all one shot, and then you see her go in. She's drinking some tea, which also New Rockstar's made a good point. She pulled up a fucking hot ass teapot from the handle, like it's nothing. Like obviously she's like, you know, crazy powerful witch, but still pretty crazy.
It was also kind of a nod to Thanos. I felt like a little bit. It kind of reminded me of when you see Thanos? It like was sitting on the porch and then goes inside. You know, the all-powerful kind of resting. I don't know. I felt like they kind of just probably not. It doesn't mean anything, but definitely
cool. That's cool. That's a cool point to bring out for sure. I didn't think about that at all. And then you go and you see her, and you see her astral projecting as her Scarlet Witch form, reading the Darkhold. So another thing that's very interesting, we've only seen this, people doing astral projection when they're incapacitated or when they do the astral projection, it leaves their body like lifeless on the ground pretty much. Yeah. It's like the soul coming out and it's just like a husk of a body. But she's fully drinking tea and hanging out on the fucking porch while doing astral projection. That's crazy.
It's like Dr. Manhattan. She can simultaneously.
It is like Dr. Manhattan. It's like she almost like broke up. Yeah, like
conscious multiple places.
Yeah, like broke apart of her consciousness to do this thing.
Or is she asked?
That's a good point.
It was almost like astral projection, but it was almost like my brain was kind of like, what if like she's controlling herself in another dimension or another timeline?
Yeah, like it could be an alternate reality version of herself that she can
jump between.
Branch. Yeah, it definitely could be. Like that's what I love about this after credit scene. Like it set up a ton of stuff, but left so much of people to wonder what's going on. And then as she's reading the Darkhold, she hears the twins crying out to her, which could mean a number of things. They could exist in another reality,
which is what I was about to say. Like she was searching other universes for them, and like Fringe. You ever watch Fringe?
No.
That's another one that I think you'd very much appreciate because it's one of those shows where it ties off like it. Dude, you want to talk crazy shit that goes off the fucking reservation, and then every single plot hole is tied off at the end. But I can't tell you anything. I'll ruin it for you. But I was gonna say like Fringe, but it's almost like she was gonna go take some twins from another reality first, like almost like she was looking for them, then she found them, and then you see her like, oh, there we go. Like I don't know. Yeah, that was the vibe. Yeah, that she's just trying to like either bring them back from somewhere else or because it's like what would stop, because she obviously can't just recreate them or she would have.
No.
So she must be trying to take them from somewhere else. So what were you going to say though, about the twins? You said you had something about the twins.
Or they are still tied to Mephisto in some way, which is possible. And they're like in the hell dimension because they're part of Mephisto and she could bring them in through that dimension or something, which is also another possibility. But I'm guessing it's probably the multiverse thing, and she's going to be like that. That'll be the beginning of Doctor Strange 2, is her hopping through fucking realities, like fucking, or it could end up being a thing before even Spider-Man 3, and like that's what ends up like all these characters from different like she's hopping through realities, and it almost opens up this portal for different characters from different realities to come through or something like that. Obviously, this is pure speculation. I don't know how this is actually going to happen, but and that kind of happens, and then like it starts really fucking shit up, and Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness is like him having to like fix that, because everyone's like Secret Wars, and I'm like, no, because Secret Wars kills the multiverse. It makes the multiverse into one world, so they're not going to do that yet. We're gonna have to wait 10 years for Secret Wars.
Well, Secret Wars will probably be how this all ends, but I feel like
it's gonna be like the next ending.
I think the thing that we're forgetting too is like, and I don't know how much it'll have tied to all this, but it's like besides from like the Eternals and all that shit, but like Spider-Man 3 is coming before Doctor Strange, so it's like, and that's gonna be multiverse bullshit, and we already know Doctor Strange is probably gonna be in that, so it's like, is Wanda gonna be mentioned or involved in that at all? Is like Wanda fucking shit up, which is causing what happens? So is maybe we saying, like is Wanda gonna be in Spider-Man 3?
It's possible, for sure. Like, what if the end credit scene for Eternals is her hopping through realities trying to find the kids, and you see like people enter Spider-Man's like New York City, like you see Jamie Foxx, and you see Doc Ock, like Alfred Molina's Doc Ock and shit, like show up or like end up appearing in this or something. Like they have to do some way to like tie that together, which I'm sure they will. It's Marvel. They're gonna explain it in a nice way, or that's just the opening scene, which is possible too.
I guess the bigger question is like, will Spider-Man 3 actually come out this year? Because we still don't even have Black Widow, so I don't even know.
Yeah, I feel like because Ryan the Last Dragon came out on Friday, which I saw it. It's fucking amazing. I highly recommend seeing it.
I just don't know about $30 to watch what of it. Was it you buy it or rent it? Is it $30 to stream it or to buy it? Like
I don't know, because the Mulan thing was weird because you bought it, but then it was just on Disney Plus months later, so it was like a weird thing.
Yeah,
where you would have it, but then it's just on there, so it is kind of like. But I mean, any movie that comes out that's like a premium VOD is usually $20, so it's $10 more, which is whatever. I feel like they should just make it $20, but whatever. It is what it is. I think they're waiting to see how, because that's the first one where they did it. It's in the theaters that are open, and it's premium, purchase on Disney Plus. So I'm wondering if they're seeing how that did to gauge, because obviously Black Widow, that's $1 billion box office number. Like it is what it, like that is $1 million box office number. Obviously, the box office isn't going to be as big as it would be in an opening weekend, because it physically cannot be, because everything is limited. Even the ones, not every theater is open, and the theaters are open, there's a cap on it. So, like you can't fully sell out theaters. So it's impossible. So having the at-home stuff may make up for it, but I don't know. Maybe that's why it's $30, because it's like easily, like that's one household. Like if a family of 5 pays $30, it's way cheaper than going to the movie theaters for them or whatever. Even 3, that's like almost the same price or maybe a little cheaper than going to the movie.
That's a good point. So, I didn't really think about that.
That's why when everyone's like $30, I was like, yo, this is like a family film. It's Disney. Like mostly families are going to watch it. So them paying $30 is nothing. Like they would go to the movies and spend like $80 with food and shit. Like this is nothing.
Yeah.
Like $30 is whatever. So it's hard to see that when it's like most of our friends are either married and have 2 people, which I guess if you split it between 2, it's kind of like going to the movies. It's kind of the same. So you're either just like whatever. And like a lot of people are struggling. So $30 is a lot. Like I could buy $30 worth of food, or I could watch.
But I feel like if the payoff is that, like I look at it this, I didn't think about it till now. I mean, not every time would I see a movie in theaters twice, but like for a movie like Black Widow, like I pay $30 for Black Widow because every Marvel movie I've seen at least twice in theaters anyways. So it's like if I'm paying $30 for it once, if I can rewatch it once I pay the $30, then it's like the same thing. But
I think you can rewatch it, as far as I know, because with Mulan you could, but again, you had it for like a window of time before everyone else could have it because you bought it. So I'm guessing Ryan the Last Dragon would be the same thing, but they haven't really talked about it going straight to Disney Plus because it does have a theatrical release as well. So I don't really know how the inner workings of that one, because it is different from Mulan because it's like a day and date release.
Well, hopefully they're making enough from all these streaming numbers. Like,
yeah, so I'm hoping it does well, and they just
know,
do Black Widow, and they do it the same way. That's what I'm hoping for, because I know it's like there was a thread on the Facebook group too, and they were talking about it's like, oh, like there's obviously a contract with Scarlett Johansson, she gets a percentage, but it was the same thing with Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman, and they made a new deal and worked it out, and I'm sure they could do a similar thing. It's just like I don't know if they want to make this a precedent, but they don't have to do it for everyone. They can do it until things are opened back up fully, and then just not do it on Disney Plus. Like maybe some people will be mad, but when you're getting like 5 MCU series and like 2 Star Wars series a year, like, and it's not like HBO Max where it comes with the subscription. It's an extra fee. So I think that's how they can easily get away with it, being like, movie theaters are up, go see it in the theaters. Like,
yeah. I mean, I just want to see Marvel movies this year. That's all I fucking care about. That's what I think.
Yeah. And like we said before, I don't really think they can push it back anymore. Like, how are they able to put out these series and not have the movies happen? Like, I don't know how that's going to work.
Their hand will be forced at some point.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope it does come out just like Raya and the Last Dragon came out, like a Disney Plus theater hybrid. Because people are obviously going to pay $30 to see Black Widow at home. There's no if answer was about it. People do not care.
I'll pay $50 to see any Marvel movie if that's what I have to do to see the Marvel movie.
Yeah, like people are not gonna. They just want to see it, So just give it to them. This was supposed to come out like a year ago at this point. But
and Eternals
by the
was
time
supposed
it
to
comes
come
out,
and Eternals was supposed to come out almost half a year ago. Like,
yeah, I think Shang-Chi was supposed to be out too already. Like,
dude, and it's like in Eternals, I feel like they've done in Eternals. There's not even a fucking trailer. Like, I don't know what.
What's the thing is like, there's no Shang-Chi trailer,
and I think it's all depending on this Raya and the Last Dragon stuff. You know what I mean? To see if Black Widow's coming out, because there's no more trailers to show for Black Widow. The final trailer showed well over a year ago, like a year and a half ago or something. So, they have no more to show for that. So it's like I think they're waiting to see, and like obviously they're promoting Falcon Winter Soldier too. They don't want to like. It's a Marvel movie. They don't need to promote it that much. Like,
no.
People are going to go see it. They're going to show a trailer. They're going to show a trailer that shows us fucking nothing. It's just going to get us stoked. Like, even Falcon Winter Soldier, I still have no idea what that show is. I know what it's about, but like, what's actually going to happen in it, I have zero idea, which I'm stoked about.
I hope that there's as much suspense as we got from WandaVision.
I think it's going to be different, but I don't know. It's hard because it's a very different kind of show. It's very more like, straight up spy action.
And like the Flag Smashers aren't that sick. I don't know. I'm excited to see. I hope there's more to it than Zemo and the Flag Smashers. I hope there's
I think it's going to be an origin for the Thunderbolts. That's my biggest hope for the series.
Well, because Baltrog's coming back, right?
Yeah. Yep.
The Leaper. I hope he has a mustache, like the fancy mustache.
that would be really funny.
He's just such a goofy character, so it's like it's just funny to see it.
There was a new short trailer. It was like 30 seconds. And there was like a government official saying, we need new heroes or something like that. So I think that's going to be them, like the U.S. agent, probably Zemo, are probably going to be part of the Thunderbolts, which is, it's like an evil Avengers, but not really evil.
Well, it's just government run, yeah.
Yeah. Evil in a way.
2 more weeks.
They usually are bad guys. I know.
I'm so hyped.
Me too. Very, very excited. And
I'm hoping we get some more downloads, some more content for the fucking Avengers game too, because I know they're finally giving us the Hawkeye stuff, but like that game has so much potential, and I want to start seeing more of these characters showing up. I want to play as Winter Soldier. I want to play as Scarlet Witch. Like, let's go.
There was like a leaked list of like 30 characters, something like that. It was like this crazy list. It was massive. So I wonder if they're like eventually going to do that, and they're going to try and ride the long run of hoping people will buy more, because I know it did not sell very well.
Yeah, so I really enjoy it. It's just very limited. Like, I really like.
Yeah, I love the story. The story was awesome. It was super cool.
The gameplay's so fun. It's like Destiny. I could play it for an hour. I'll like play the same map for hours because the gameplay's so fun. But eventually, I want something new. Like,
that's the only thing that sucks is like every mission was exactly the same when it really boiled down to it.
Besides like the opening one and the last one, because I thought that was cool how it automatically switched you between characters and you had to like go beat this next part. Like, I loved that part of it because playing as different people, you really feel like you're playing as that character.
Yeah, they all very unique.
Yeah,
and it feels like the movies. like you feel the hammer, like the hammer. You feel like Thor. You feel like Iron Man. It's so good. I'm gonna probably go play it later.
I need to get PlayStation Plus so I can cloud storage my PS4 to bring, because when I did the save transfer, for some reason the save transfer didn't transfer to my PS5 right. Like I'm stuck like way farther back in the game than because I beat the game. So, and I started the Kate Bishop DLC, like I beat like the first part of it. So, but like it didn't transfer over right. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I might bite the bullet and get PlayStation Plus and do the cloud storage and then transfer it to see if it actually works. So I'm actually where I'm supposed to be.
All right. Well, fuck, man. This is like,
I know. Thank you so much for doing this with me. This was amazing.
No, it's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun. Like I said, like when Acolyte comes out, I want to.
You got it. You got dibs.
I got dibs on Acolyte. Like, but hopefully we do another Marvel. I'm excited for the next. We can maybe do a Spider-Man 3 event for whoever. That'd be
that
sick
would be
too.
good. That'd be a good one too.
But yeah, we will meet again. But I'll be hitting you up in the DMs about everything going on and talking to Winter Soldier. But
now we can actually talk about it not on camera.
Yeah,
we can just talk about it freely because we're always like, okay, we'll talk about it on the podcast because we don't want to waste it.
Yeah. So everybody who's been watching this, go follow Metalcore Nerds, subscribe to Metalcore Nerds. This is going to be an ever-growing, really cool thing. Join the Metalcore Nerds group. I post 20 times a day in there. It's just memes and like just articles. It's
all the memes.
It's like a safe place to just dump the nerd content. So.
Oh yeah. 100%. I love that group. Honestly, it's super fun to hear everyone's like different point of views and perspectives. It's awesome.
I've been going through my friends list trying to find everyone I know in a band who I know like loves this shit and inviting them to the group. Yeah, I've been inviting people. So
if you're in and you know people that are into stuff, please add them in, because I think I've added everyone in my friends list that I know is into nerd stuff. So I have nothing left to add from my personal friend group. I don't think.
I absolutely will. And
hell yeah.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been really fun, and I feel like this is going to be a really cool thing. I think you have something cool here that's going to keep spiraling forward as all this stuff keeps going out. It's a cool community. I appreciate it. It's a good community. So, and it's been fun. I hope something fun to look forward to during all of this bullshit. So,
true that. And
everyone go follow Tyler's band Saving Vice on everything. He does awesome Vice streams with different guests on Twitch and everything like that. So,
I got a really cool one for this coming week. It'll be announced tomorrow or Tuesday. It's it's a really good one for Vice streams.
Okay,
so
well,
definitely
follow Tyler's shit. Figure out what that is. So
follow my shit.
I don't want to follow his shit.
Awesome, guys. Thank you guys so much for
checking out this episode. We'll actually be back later this week with an AEW Revolution show. And we might do a prediction show next week, or I might take the next week off because it's kind of hard to predict what's going to happen in Falcon Winter Soldier. There's not as much mystery as WandaVision, but we will definitely be back with an episode on all of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So until next time, this is Metalcore Nerds. See you guys later.
Thanks, man.